Welcome to the Lift Your Story podcast with guest Manuel Santana. Hi, everyone. I am Lorianne. I am that gal from Milton, Ontario, Canada, and I am with...
I am that guy. I am Roy Miller from Dallas, Texas. We'd like to welcome you to our Lift Your Story podcast.
In this episode, we have Manuel Santana, and he is a relationship coach. And thank you so much for being with us today.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. I'm looking forward to our conversation today, and once again, thanks for having me.
So, how did you become a certified dating coach?
Well, I've always been a dating coach / matchmaker at heart ever since I was younger, and growing up, I've always took mental notes. Like if I got rejected by a girl when I was in high school, then I'd try to figure out why, and I would try to learn from my mistake, and I would observe human behavior in general. So when I got older, about 4 or 5 years ago, I decided I was going to write a book. And in order to write a book, I wanted to associate it with a title. So then I actually became a matchmaker. So I started a matchmaking company called Meet to Keep Matchmaker Services based out of Miami. And after some time matchmaking, I realized that it's kind of, matchmaking is kind of like washing your hands and putting your hands in the dirt. The reason why I say that is because if I'm a single guy, right, and I have trouble dating, and if I go to a matchmaker and I say, this is the type of woman I'm looking for, that might be the reason why I'm single. Mm-hmm. So why would I ask you to help me fail even more? So I realized what people really need is not necessarily therapy, but something in between to kind of coach you and figure out what it is that you're doing wrong, instead of just setting you up on a date. If I can set you up on 10 dates and then you'll never get a second date from either one of them 10, simply because you haven't figured out what you're doing wrong. So then that's when I decided, let me kick it up a notch and become a relationship coach / dating coach instead. And with my book, Secrets of the Guy Code, it's more I like to call it a diagnosing book, trying to help people figure out what they're doing wrong, both men and women. But it's called Secrets of the Guy Code only because it's in a man's point of view, because I'm a man, so I have to write it in a man's point of view. So I felt like it was more appropriate to be a relationship coach as opposed to a matchmaker, because I'm not helping you find love. I'm helping you figure out why you haven't been able to find love.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting you mentioned the guy code, because, really, we do have a code. I mean, about everything. You know what I mean?
We do.
I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. It's just a guy thing, a guy way of doing things. So,
yeah,
a woman probably wouldn't understand it, but the guys do.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
And well, I chose the title because I knew it would get people fired up. Wait a minute. What is this about now? So but it's not like a tell all. Don't worry. A lot of guys say, hey man, you're making us look bad or something. What's going on here? It's like, no, it's not. That's not what it is. It's really understanding people. It's to help people understand to be themselves. As men, we have this whole this whole idea of being as masculine and as macho and as alpha as possible. And some people, if that's not who you are, then you have to be okay with that. And even with women, a lot of women, they want to go for the most toughest, roughest guy out there, but sometimes you just can't handle that. If that's not, I don't want to say in your league, people that say, oh, she's out of your league or he's out of your league. Well, I mean, it's not I don't see it as a looks thing. I see it as an emotional strength thing. Some people, they're more relationship oriented and some people are not. So if you're like relationship oriented and you're trying to date someone who's not relationship oriented, they're gonna eat you alive. They're gonna chew you up and spit you out. You know, so
That's true. I had my ex-husband he liked watching sports. I was not a sports person. And then my ex-boyfriend that I ended up with, he didn't like sports, and I liked that better. We liked doing
yeah,
other things together,
yeah,
and
exactly.
we liked the same things. So that was important. Yeah.
Yeah, and it works out better. And a lot of people they um they go for what they like instead of what they can handle or what they're compatible with. And I myself, I'm guilty of it myself. So it's something I had to learn for myself. And I was always the type of guy, I wanted the hottest chick in the room. But you know, there might be a guy that's 6'5", you know, star football player, makes $100,000 a year. You know, she'll go for him before she'll go for me. You know, so I had to be like, I had to humble myself and be okay with that. And you know, it doesn't mean I'm less of a man. It just means that that's just not, you know, my caliber of, you know, I'm not in that league, so to speak, and that's okay. So it's like people have to get comfortable with themselves and not feel insecure and feel like they're less than man or woman. You know, some women, you know, she could be a drop dead gorgeous, and some women you're not, but that's okay. You don't have to feel bad about yourself or feel like you're not, you know, woman enough, or you're not man enough because you're not 6'4", you know, athlete. You know, it's okay. And you
So
know,
that's the
that's what,
external part, the external
yeah,
part. Yeah.
yeah.
Because there's a definite combination of the two. You can have a really good looking guy who's 6'4" and a football player and a total
Mm-hmm.
jerk. And then
Total
you can
jerk.
have one that's not that
Yeah.
big, but still in your eyes, very good looking, even if not to everyone else, and be
Mm-hmm.
the perfect match. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
You
you
know,
know, I
and he
think
might be a total airhead and have no conversation. And, you know, I mean, it's like you could have a BMW, a nice BMW, but it breaks down every other week. And you're just at the shop every other week. You know, what good is that? You know, it's just going to drive you crazy. Just to say you have a BMW, you're going to put up with it? No, like, you know, you better off driving a Toyota Camry that's reliable.
But you know, you mentioned high school a while ago, and I really think that's where our perceptions are molded.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you ask this girl, you know, and she rejects you, you know, I think in your mind, oh, I can't date a girl like that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I think you set your expectations lower and lower by every time you get rejected, and then you end up basically trying to settle somewhere. And
Mm-hmm.
not, you know, I mean, not everyone, but I think that's kind of a way things happen. You know, what happens to you in high school kind of is a pattern for you moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, no, it's definitely true. You know, a lot of people they settle, but then at the same time, some people is like, did they really settle or did they humble themselves?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like for example, you know, if I work at McDonald's, nothing against anyone that works at McDonald's, but if I work at McDonald's and I see a girl that, you know, she's like a, I don't know, Instagram model, and she dates actors and football players and celebrities, you know, I ain't got a shot. You know, it's like, but that's okay. But if I try to date her or try to date a bunch of supermodel girls, and I'm making minimum wage and she's used to dating millionaires, you know, and I decide, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and date Kathy that works with me or works at the other McDonald's down the street. You know, I might see that as settling, but it's more like humbling myself and opening my eyes and realizing like, okay, this is, you know, what I'm suitable for. I mean, it's just like, you know, if I was a valet driver and I'm parking Ferraris all day every day, it doesn't mean I can afford a Ferrari. No, I'm just, I can't be a valet driver and I'm parking Lamborghinis and Ferraris and Maseratis, and I go to the line. I say, I want to buy a Ferrari, and they say, sir, how much do you make? I'm like, yeah, I make about $500 a week. And like, sir, you can't afford a Ferrari. I'm sorry, you do not qualify. You know, I have to humble myself and not get ahead of myself and think like, okay, I'm gonna buy a Ferrari because I park them all day.
There's a lot of absolutely wonderful and beautiful people out there who are not top, models or anything either,
Yeah.
but that's beside the point. But my curiosity is, I like the fact that you're saying that in a relationship. So I understand that in my first relationship, I tended to be a little bit moody. So that was causing issues with that. And I knew it, but then, probably could have used a coach to say, well, this is how it's going to be. Because even when I asked for help with my ex-husband, it was like, how does he deal with it? And you need that external to do it. Now, by this time I was married, but even in the dating, it's really good to know what might trigger someone not asking you out again, or if you're constantly talking about your exes or such like that, and all that stuff. So I find that intriguing. I think that's really important, regardless of who you're dating, to have a coach to be able to make aware, not change yourself, but be aware of, there's a certain, I would imagine in what you're talking about too, is there's a certain, like, how quick do you start talking about those things? Because I mean, obviously you're going to share them down the line, but you know what I'm saying? This is your
Well, I knew a girl I worked with. She'd been married to the guy 40 something years. They had a real good marriage, and he passed away. And she, she really upset about it. It took her quite a while to get over it, but she did start seeing this guy, and she liked the guy. They seemed to get along well. But finally, the guy told her, says, "Look, I think you need some more time to get over your husband, because every time they got together, all she would say is, well, Jerry did this, well, Jerry did that, and it just didn't work out, So I see what you're saying, Marianne. When do I do that? When should I not do that?
Well, my mother used to tell me it usually takes you half the time you was with someone to get over them. So if you was with someone for 20 years, it might take you 10 years to get over them. And I think it's important for people to be comfortable with themselves, because that's another issue that a lot of people have, and I dealt with it too in my younger days, is codependency, where you always feel like you have to be in a relationship. So some people, they just rush into a relationship even though they're not ready for one, because they're too emotionally available, simply because they feel like they're missing something from within and they're trying to find it in someone else. So it's important for people to like love themselves and find themselves and get to know themselves before they move on to the next relationship. And again, everyone's healing process is different. Some people, it might take 2 years to get over someone. Some people might take 10 years. I mean, it depends on how connected you were, depends on how your emotional strength, it depends on a lot of things. So it's important for people to understand themselves first, and that way they won't like jump into a relationship even though they're not ready, because if they do so, then that means that they have like a codependency that they have to work on.
Yeah, we were chatting with somebody and they said that there's the two independent, there's the two dependent for the coach, and then really what you want is to be interdependent, have your own
Definitely.
individuality, and not, but yeah, and that's important. I like that you're working on that, and I like what you're saying about finding yourself, your love for yourself, because I think sometimes emotions, like my moodiness, quite often was because I felt insecure about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And when you stop being insecure about yourself, you can control that better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, 100%. I'm see, the thing is about me, the funny thing is this, I'm 6 feet tall. I'm 220 pounds. I used to play football. So physically, I qualify for an alpha male, but emotionally, I'm nowhere near an alpha male. You know what I mean? It's like, I've always been like the lovey-dovey, emotional type of guy, wear his heart on his sleeve, but you would never guess that. Like, I'm the type of guy, like I attract women who like emotionally unavailable men. And when they realize that I'm actually emotionally available, it's like, wait a minute here, that's not what I signed up for. So it's something I had to learn within myself, where again, it's like people like to say getting in touch with your feminine side. I don't like using that term because now we're saying that is exclusively for women. It's getting in touch with your emotional side. Men have an emotional side as well, and we have to be okay with that. We have to learn how to understand our emotions and communicate our emotions. And you know, when you have like this whole complex of you have to be the rough tough guy, then you veer away from being comfortable with your emotions, and that in as a result it causes a lot of women to feel weirded out by a guy who actually has emotions, where they feel like guys are just supposed to be just emotionless tough guys. But that's not necessarily the case. I mean, if that's who you are, then that's fine, but that's not who every guy is. And if you're not that type of guy, then it's okay. You have to be comfortable with that and be comfortable with yourself. So that's something I had to learn. Like, I had to be okay with, okay, you know, I'm I'm a little, I don't want to say I'm needy, you know, but I prefer a relationship over just, you know, the bachelor lifestyle. Um, and because of that, a woman who's into guys who are emotionless and prefer that bachelorette lifestyle, they will perceive that as needy. They will translate that as needy when it's really not. But a woman who actually is on the same emotional level as me, she won't perceive that as needy. She won't perceive that as emotional. She'll say, you know what, that's the kind of guy that I can date because we love the same way, or we have the same interests and same like desire for romance. And I think it's important for people to know where they stand, both men and women, because we have this thing in society where we expect all women to just be emotional and look and want to be wives, but some women are not that way, and that's okay. Some women are just alphas and they just want to be a bachelorette, and that's fine. They should be, you know, I'm a strong advocate of that. I believe in that. You know, her body, her choice. If she want to just, you know, what they say, act like a guy, that's her prerogative. We shouldn't be forcing a woman or forcing women in general to be like lovey-dovey, looking for a husband if that's not who she is. And on the flip side, same thing for men. If a man, he wants to like settle down and he only wants to be with one woman, we can't sit there and say, man, that's soft, man. You gotta go out there and get all the ladies, and that's not all men. Some men that's who they are, but some men, you know, I know a guy, he married his college sweetheart, and that was the only woman he's been with his whole life, and he's fine with that. You know, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. And it's a lot of guys, like, if they find themselves in that position, they feel like insecure. They're like, you know, I'm not a real man. Like, yes, you are a real man. You are your own man. And that's the only thing that matters, that you are yourself and you're not trying to be someone else.
I like what you were saying too about that, you know, the men have to find that feminine side. You hear that, and then, but you don't hear about the woman has to feel that masculine side. Like, where is that? And yet I've been struggling my whole life sitting there going, I want to, you know, not that I want to hang out with the boys and be the boys, but I do have this thing. There's some things that women say, and I go, woo, and I shrug, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and they think that I'm anti-female. I'm not. I'm just, I get both sides.
Yeah, yeah.
And so if there's too much one side or too much the other side, that drives me nuts. So whoever I'm with, I need somebody who's here, right? Who's here
Mm-hmm.
with me, standing next to me, not walking in front of me or behind me,
Mm-hmm.
there, so that, you know, I hear you, you've got that, you know, wow, you eat really like prim and proper and better than me. And I think that's awesome. You know, it's it's about that. It's about being side by side and
Mm-hmm.
walking side by side, regardless. And like I said, though, we don't hear that. Oh, you know, men have to get in touch with their femininity. Well, women, we get in touch with our masculinity, but you
Nothing wrong
don't.
with that. Nothing wrong with
No,
that at all. You know, and I
it
think,
doesn't go too far.
yeah, exactly. And I'm glad you said that about, you know, the walking side by side. It's very important because, um, like in my book, I explain, you know, in relationships, right? So when they're not evenly balanced, um, what I call a dominated relationship versus a validated relationship. A dominated relationship, it's like it's based around the man, you know, like a man who's a selfish, you know, I hate to say it, but like a bigot, and you know, he wants everything for him. He doesn't let her do anything. He wants power and control and dominance. But then on the flip side, what I call a validated relationship, where the woman, she feels like the world revolves around her. She wants him to do everything, pay her bills, do everything, and she just gets to sit there and look pretty. And it's just a take, no give, give, give. So on both sides of the spectrum, there are self-centered women, there are selfish men, and there are people who fall victim, so to speak, into these traps simply because they're going for someone who's out of their emotional league. You know, a alpha dominant man, you know, if he dates an omega woman who's as emotional as it gets, she might find herself, you know, just wrapped around him, and everything she does is being submissive. And that's where you have like the whole notion where a lot of women, they don't want to be submissive anymore because they feel as though, you know, men are they take advantage of it. But it's not men that take advantage of it, it's certain men, selfish men, that take advantage of it. And on the flip side, the same way, a lot of guys, you know, he might you know, spend money on this girl and then she takes his money and leave. Well, guess what, she was out of your emotional league. And she, you know, people tend to be the opportunists. So she saw like, okay, I could take advantage of this guy. This guy's madly in love with me. Let me see what I can get out of this guy, you know. But if you're a guy, right, and you're an emotional guy, and let's say you're a rich guy and you date a woman who's just as emotional as you, she's not going to feel the need to you know, take advantage of you, because she's not thinking of that. She's thinking of, okay, how can we build this together? So it's important for people to, you know, date within their emotional category, if you will.
Yeah, I liked what you used, emotional league. Like we were talking
Yeah,
about leagues as far as looks go,
yeah,
but I think that a bigger part of that, like you're
way bigger.
saying, is the emotional league, because that's
Hmm.
really what it comes down to.
Really
I
comes
like
down to
that.
it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, it was interesting because, you know, let's face it, marriage is like a job. You have to work at it. I mean,
Hmm.
you know, you do every day. But it's interesting because, you know, us when you're 20 years old, you know, you want the good looking girl, you know, perfect figure to this, you know, but as you age, it's not the outside, it's the inside you're looking for.
Hmm.
It's the heart.
Hmm.
The looks don't really, I mean, I say the looks don't matter, but what I'm saying is, you know, a gal that's got a great soul and heart is a lot more important to you than a really beautiful gal that doesn't.
Hmm.
They become more attractive. Same
Yeah.
thing with guys.
Definitely.
I find you can hang out with someone that at first you don't really find attractive, then you get to know them, and then all of a sudden you
Hmm.
look at them and go, wow,
Oh yeah.
can we go out on a date now?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean,
You're awesome.
emotions are a powerful thing, and there's that show. What is it called, man? Married at First Sight or something like that, or Love at First Sight. There's like this. It's like on.
Yeah, love at first sight. I believe
Yeah,
that's it.
but
Yes.
like they don't see the people, and they like talk to
Yeah.
them behind the walls,
Yeah.
and then they literally just fall in love. They just have like a deep, immense connection. And then when they finally see each other, they literally jump in each other's arms and they start crying. And then they're engaged right then and there. So it just goes to show you how powerful, you know, getting to know someone for who they really are instead of the shallowness and the looks and all of those criterias, how more important the inside is. I mean, these people, they literally like, I mean, they fall in love immediately just from talking to someone behind a wall. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. Like I even want to go on that show just to experience that.
Well, let us know when you are on it.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
There is, no matter what, though, there is a certain level of attraction that needs to be involved in
Oh yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah,
You
of
can't
course.
lie. You can't look at somebody and say, you know, I have no, but there, I think the combination thereof, and it's not to say somebody's got to be absolutely gorgeous, no, but
Hmm.
there has to be something beyond like the attraction and the emotions. I think there's a certain level that's within every relationship, really.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. You know, some people they disregard the emotional aspect, and yeah, you definitely can't disregard the physical aspect because, you know, the more physically attracted you are to someone, I've noticed the more tolerance you have. So if you're dating someone that you're not really attracted to, they'll do one little mistake and you just dump them. You say, I don't want to. You're not gonna work things out at all. So and it's not fair to that person. It's like all I did was just text you back an hour late and you're already breaking up with you. Oh my God. You know what I mean? It's like all I did was call you back 2 hours later. Oh my God, and you're breaking up with me? Yeah, because you're not that interested in that person. So yeah, you definitely need to have that physical attraction, but it can't be like the end all be all. And you can't like disregard if the person is, you know, a narcissist or the person is selfish or whatever the case may be, and you just disregard it because you're just that physically attracted to that person. That's when it becomes an issue.
Interesting thing my mother said just quickly, and I have to say that, and it is the truth. They go, if you're going to be dating, and on that first date or second date, there is one thing that you find is annoying, like whether it's a chipped tooth or, anything as simple as that. She said, just remember that's going to get 10 times worse once you're with them for a longer time.
You know, that's a good point.
She's
I'm actually,
right.
yeah, she's right about that. I'm gonna factor that in from now on. I'm gonna
The
take that into
smallest thing, right?
consideration.
I mean, it
Yeah.
could be just like a freckle on the chin that you keep staring at, going, "That's really annoying me."
Hmm.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
yeah,
just.
that's
Anyway,
good.
I
I think
love
that's
Mom
perfect.
for that because she was absolutely right about that. Mom's always right.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, cute.
Yeah, you
But,
mentioned earlier about communication. That's important too. Very important, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. And the tough part is a lot of guys, you know, we have communication problems. Some of it is because, you know, again, we don't want to get too emotional and things like that. But another thing is sometimes people don't communicate because they're really not that interested, and that's also a problem where a lot of guys they'll date a woman that he's not interested in simply because he'll always keep an emotional balance. you know um like there's a saying, women date who they want, men date who they can. So it might not be a
Exactly.
girl that he wants, but he just dates her simply because she's in love with him, and he can get her to chase him, and he doesn't have to do any work. So he doesn't have to communicate. He's not even interested enough to communicate. And that's also a problem. But again, it all boils down to like having that self-love, because if a woman finds herself like chasing after this guy and trying to get him to change and trying to get him to commit, then she has to look within herself and she has to like find some self-love, because she's doing that because she's looking for something that she feels like she's missing something inside, or she wants to validate her
yeah.
you know her dating quality, so to speak. And even the other way around, sometimes guys find themselves doing the same thing. They're chasing after this girl, trying to get her to like him. But if you're doing that, it's because you don't like yourself and you want someone to like you so that you can like yourself and say, okay, I guess I am a likable person. But the thing is, if you a woman that continuously lets you just chase after her, she's just looking for attention. Like I say in my book, a man's form of power is control. A woman's form of power is attention. So she just likes the attention that you're feeding her. She just likes the way that you make her feel. You make her feel powerful. It's an ego boost. So it's like, I'm gonna let this guy just keep chasing after me and keep trying to take me out on dates because it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm the best looking girl in the world. And it's just an ego boost. So, but a guy won't do that if he knows himself and he says, you know what, I'm not getting the same amount of effort. She's not reciprocating the same amount of effort I'm giving her. So, I'm gonna walk away from this situation because I have self-esteem, I have self-love, and I value myself. So that's why it's important for people to value themselves and know themselves.
Well, so how can our listeners reach out to you?
Okay, well, I'm on all forms of social media, Facebook, Instagram. I'm even on Clubhouse, Twitter, TikTok. Every last one of them, I'm at I am Manny Santana. I am MANNY SANTANA. I am Manny Santana. Or you can email me at contact@MannySantana.com. And yeah, those are, you know, the two best ways to reach me.
When is your book coming out?
Hopefully I can get out by the summer. But I do have good news. I'm actually launching a masterclass, an e-course, in a couple months. Again, if they follow me on social media, they'll be able to get more info on it. So my e-course and my masterclass, it gets in depth. Because if you read the book, you might get confused. So that's why I have like the masterclass and the e-course so that you can fully understand everything. Because my book is years and years of observation, years of experience, years and years of research. So it's like jam-packed with a lot of information, a lot of knowledge, where it's like reading the book might not be enough. So, you know, that's why I have the e-course and the masterclass. And, you know, anyone who signs up for my e-course or masterclass will get a free copy of the book when it's released.
Well,
Perfect.
we would probably like, if you would, for you to come back maybe the end of the summer and
Okay.
let us, you know, you got your book out by then, hopefully you got your course up and running. And so we can kind of find out what's happening with you from there.
Oh, definitely. I appreciate it. I'll definitely do that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That'll be great.
Oh, and now, and to sign up for the e-course / masterclass, the website will be up and running soon, but it'll be secretsoftheguidecode.com.
Okay.
Excellent. We will
Perfect.
post that up for you. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you, both of you. And, you know, I look forward to, you know, coming back at the end of the summer and, you know, giving you guys an update of everything. And once again, I appreciate it. It was a great conversation.
All right. Well, thanks a lot. It was a pleasure having you on with us.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. I'll have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Be sure to visit us at lifterstory.com.